Welcome to the Truth Report. I'm Barry Nussbaum. 3 deadly UK terror attacks in just 10 weeks have many around the world, and especially the population in Britain, wondering what suddenly changed and what can be done to reverse this terrible trend. Until March of this year, the killing of a soldier in a London street 4 years ago had been the country's most serious Islamist incident since the July attack on the capital subway system that left 52 dead in 2005. However, a total of 33 people have since been killed in vehicle and knife rampages on London Bridge and Westminster Bridge in the capital, as well as in the suicide bombing outside an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, England. A Metropolitan Police Assistant Commissioner told reporters that 5 additional plots had been foiled in recent weeks. In other words, things could have been much, much worse, but for the successful police intervention. That is completely different to anything we've seen for a long time, he said. As the Prime Minister has indicated, we're going to need to do some things differently. Finally, a major injection of sanity. Today in the Truth Report, we're going to examine the truth behind why Britain is a continual terror target and what can be done to change things there. There are a number of answers, and not coincidentally, they apply equally to France as they do to Britain. Here are 5 main reasons why things are so bad and getting worse in Britain. 1. Their open borders policy. Millions are getting in, and mostly unvetted. 2. Allowance of a lack of integration of Muslim immigrants into society. They let it happen. 3. Full acceptance of imams preaching hatred of Western values and encouragement of violence at mosques all over the UK. 4. Emphasis on protecting feelings of Muslims versus society's safety. And 5. No declaration of war on radical Islam. How bad are things in Britain now? Well, Britain's MI5 domestic intelligence agency and police are conducting, get this, 500 active investigations at any given time, typically involving 3,000 subjects of interest. Additionally, 20,000 individuals are former subjects of interest, and they also remain on the radar of MI5 and its partners. Any one person might be able to commit mass murder, and Britain has 20,000 suspects on their radar. By encouraging a false narrative that the vast majority of Muslims are working with police to expose the radicals, a significant portion of the population is allowed to sit on the sidelines and watch the terror grow. The CNN staged fake news report of last week was completely fictitious and created with the cooperation of both the police in London and the BBC. We reported on it in depth a few days ago. So why did CNN create the fake news video with the help of police and the major network? Why did they do it? My theory is it was done to support the British progressive narrative. The popular official British policy is of open borders, and that if you educate and expose those immigrants to progressive British values, terrorists will stop being terrorists. I'm very serious. That is their policy. Educate and change minds. The simple answer is it fits the narrative of the British government and the reporter who is well known for placing supportive Muslim stories from throughout the Middle East. It was completely invented to create the impression that there are huge numbers of Muslim mothers who are united against jihadists in Britain. But sadly, it's not true. And this needs to change. So, will there be more terror in Britain? Very sadly, the answer is absolutely yes. They have invited in the enemy and allowed their radical preachers for decades to preach hate. Unless there is a massive infiltration into all mosques and Islamic community centers, violence will continue to grow. To start, security services need to place people inside every single mosque and immediately place under arrest every single imam who is preaching violence and hatred and encouraging jihad. And apparently, that number in Britain is huge. And that needs to happen in the United States as well. Now, concurrent with that, there needs to be a very aggressive internet squad whose sole purpose it is to find and shut down the sources of jihad preaching on the internet. This needs to happen in the United States as well. Prime Minister Theresa May and the Conservative Party lost their majority in Parliament last week, probably because of the two massive terror attacks in the last few weeks in Britain. In the late stages of the campaign, Britain was hit by two major Islamist militant attacks, and in less than 2 weeks, 30 people were killed in Manchester and London, and temporarily shifting the focus onto security issues in the campaign. These attacks did not help May's campaign, who in her previous role as an interior minister for 6 years had overseen significant cuts in the number of police officers on the street. She sought to deflect pressure onto her opponent Corbyn, arguing that he had a weak record on security matters, but that did not stop questions about her own ministerial decisions when she cut police forces. Finally, there is a notion that's popular in Britain that talking badly about Islamists encourages more terror and encourages the terrorists. This may be a new low in civilized governance. This talking point is completely ridiculous. If we talk nicer about the Nazis in World War II, would they have stopped killing millions? If we talk nicer about Imperial Japan, would they have stopped slaughtering across Asia? If we talk nicely about Mao in the 50s, would 100 million more Chinese be alive today? No, no, and no. Either you identify the enemy for who and what they are and declare war and then go wipe them out, or you play nice and you get killed. Stay in touch. We'll be following up on this story, obviously. You can write to me directly by sending me an email to barry@americantruthproject.org and go to our website where you can sign up to be on our mailing list so you never miss an important episode. You can handle the truth, and we intend to bring it to you. I'm Barry Nussbaum.